When you're chasing performance on the water, the gear you ride makes all the difference. Knox and Mark Shinn have spent years pushing limits and exploring new frontiers in foiling. Join Jamie and Mark as they share their experience with Access Foils, the innovation, the feel, and how the kit has evolved in recent years.
Well, we're back again.
Back at the table.
Back at the table. Jamie Knox and Mark Shinn.
Hi, how you doing?
So good. We're going to talk about mast now and the whole journey of the Access mast and how that's been. So we started off obviously with the same as everybody else, but Adrian was a step ahead on this one, definitely. You know, he had a way of putting it together, and the stiffness in this, Mark, was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that mast is stiffer than many brands' carbon masts. Sometimes I end up, especially in foil drive, I end up using the aluminium mast, and it works perfectly. It's really, when you put in performance to price, nothing to say. It's unbeatable.
Yeah, it's absolutely unbeatable. We're using this in the school in a 68 as well, and sometimes we use that with the really big foils, and we are using it obviously for foil drive in the school, and just cannot still to this day fault that. So we were very happy with that in the early days. Thank you, Adrian.
I've never had a problem. I've had various aluminium masts, they've all been fine. Maybe as we're talking about it, we can say the mast, I think it is 18 millimeters.
19
millimeters cord.
Yeah.
And you know, the top plate is screwed on. The doodad for fitting to the fuselage is screwed on. So in fact, if you have the aluminium mast and you want differing lengths, you don't need to buy the whole mast. You can just buy the stick of the mast. It makes it a really good investment for people coming into the market. Great, nothing more to say, is there? A great product.
No, great. Then obviously everybody wanted something lighter. Yeah, the power carbon, that's right. Yeah, we really enjoyed having this. It did seem lighter, and it was narrower here, less drag. Particularly worked well with the 9.9. You know, we really enjoyed it with the smaller foils. Then bigger foils came along, and there was a bit of bend in it, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think it was. It's a good mast, especially on the small foils. But on the big ones, I'm not sure it was lighter, but I don't think it was really stiffer than.
It wasn't stiff, was it? No. It lasted with us, I'd say, 1 or 2 years, and we still think it's a good mast.
But along came the high modulus power carbon mast, and you know, what was a good mast is superseded by what's an amazing mast. So when you can put a big foil on it, you know, a PNG 1400 or a 1401 ART Pro, and there's really almost no detectable flex going on. So
I'm still using this mast on my foil drive. You know, the 72 for light wind winging with really big foils. I just think it's just incredible. You know, I do like a shorter mast sometimes in waves or beach breaks, you know, but the 82 was definitely the mast in this one that was the big seller.
Yeah, you know, there is I also like to change mast lengths, but on a trip like this, I've come here for a week. I've got an 82 with my full drive motor on, and I've got an 82 for kind of analog riding, and it does everything. It really works with the big pump foils. It works with the small Spitfire wave riding, and it's it works perfectly with everything.
It's a bit thinner up here, and it's still 19 mil down here. Is it?
It's
measurements
more or less
aren't that
constant.
clean.
It's more or less constant thickness and cord. You know, which is why it can be so stiff, because it is constant. It's the drag on it is good. You can downwind on it fine, and I think the only thing that beats it is the ultra high modulus, to be honest.
Whoa, that was exciting. When I first got this, I was like, it's another weapon from Adrian that teaches you where you are on the mast. It hasn't really arrived yet.
No, it's an expensive bit of kit. It's a heavy bit of kit. But the point of this mast is not to be super light. The point is to reduce the cord to make it super fast and slippery, and to do that you have to pack more carbon in, which is heavy, especially the ultra high modulus. But there's no mast on the market of this thickness that has anything like this stiffness.
Yeah.
So, you know, for racing, for downwinding, it's unbelievably fast. You put it on your board and it feels like someone's greased the bottom of your board. It's so slippery.
I love the way I can feel where I am on the mast, you know, particularly for winging as I'm powering up or I'm going upwind. I know that I'm, you know, I've got this much in the water, you know, and I really like that. This mast will be around for a long, long time.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think it really will, you know.
But then if you look at the three masts, the aluminium, the high modulus, and the ultra high modulus, you know, the difference in prices is astronomical.
Yeah.
And you can say the difference in glide performance and stiffness, as you go up each step, the difference gets smaller, you know. And you say, is it worth the money for the ultra? And the answer is, if you want it, yes, it's worth the money. If you want to try to justify it, probably it's not worth the money anymore because it's, you know, it's an expensive bit of kit, but that represents the ultimate right now. If you want to buy progress, there you are. That's it. Maybe you want to talk just a few seconds about mast lengths before we go on.
Oh, good point.
Because there is, you know, a lot of people see, you know, there's 70, 82, 90, 105, and you're like, why are all the mast lengths there? And it's, I think it's probably worth to have a few minutes to talk about it.
It is true. As like I already said, I like using a 72 in light winds and with very big foils for winging and in small waves and sometimes beach breaks.
Definitely for prone and in beach breaks, a short mast helps you not hit the bottom.
Do you think I should buy one ultra then?
Oh, for sure. Two, disadvantage of a short mast is when you roll to turn, your wingtips are getting closer to the surface, you have more chance to breach the foil, you know. So this is the disadvantage. I like the 70 very much for downwinding because when you're paddling up, the mast is just drag. So the shorter the mast, the easier the paddle up is.
Yeah.
But for wave riding, I do find it a bit short, and then I would prefer to go to the 82, which is a great, you know, it's a great compromise between the short mast for getting up and low drag, but it gives you a bit more room for rolling, and when you're pumping, it gives you a bit more space on the mast for up and down. When I get to the 90, for winging, it's great, but for proning, downwinding, if you get up high on the foil, doesn't matter how stiff your mast is, you're a long way up, you know, and the stability starts to suffer.
I know that.
You know, so I think that for most people, for winging, when you have a wing in your hands and you have like a third leg of stability, the 90 is great, but I'm not fond of it for downwinding and I'm not fond of it for proning for those reasons. And then you go to the longest one, which is the 105, which is very long. But if you're racing on the wing or especially kite foil, when the board is banked the whole time, when you're rolling and pushing against the foil, you really need a mast of that length to keep pushing on the foil when it's rolled. If you're with a shorter mast, the tips are sticking out of the water all the time and you can't go fast. So I think for most people, like you say, you know, 70 to 85 is the golden zone.
Yeah.
And there's a mast that will do pretty much anything. And if you had to choose one size, I think it would always be between 80 and 85 centimetres.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to go wrong with it.
Well, that does lead us then to fuselages.
It does indeed. Fuselages.